Okay, so this is the One Form Entry Primary Science Tracker, and you'll see that the first sheet is all the information, which you could press pause and read through, and it tells you exactly how to use it, but I can talk you through it as well. So here's Year 1 and the science statement for Year 1 from the National Curriculum. You'll notice in the very first column that if there is a Y, that means that statement is covered in the end of key stage framework. So that's a really important statement, as is this one and this one as well. Now, what's interesting is that the end of key stage framework assessment framework, contains some words that aren't in the national curriculum statements, which is ridiculous. So where that occurs, you'll notice that I've put it in capitals with asterisks around it. So that tells you that the national curriculum in Year 1 tells the teacher that they need to just cover observe changes across the 4 seasons. But when you go to the end of key stage framework, it actually includes the words observe and describe. So I've inserted those into the right place for each of the national curriculum statements to help the teachers. So how do you use this? Well, you would fill a sheet out. You'd have a separate occurrence of this spreadsheet for each year. So imagine I've got a Year 3 class. I'm going to go into Year 1 and type their names. And the reason I'm going to do that, I can't spell, in Year 1, so we'll start putting some names in, is if you put it in Year 1, even though these children are in Year 3 or 4, is it will automatically populate through all of the other sheets. Okay, so this document would stay with these children, this class, for their entire schooling. Let's go back to Year 1. Imagine you're teaching this class and you're going through this statement. You're going to either, I can't remember how to use my tracker. If we're using the numbers 1, 2, and 3. So 1, if they haven't quite got it, maybe Esme's doing all right with it. She's nearly there. But Gary, number 3, he's amazing. Some schools have requested that there's an exceeding expectation, so we could put that as a 4 and a purple. So let's say Samuel actually did better on this one. He was fine with the rest of them. So we start filling this in. When he gets to Year 2, we've got some more statements. Now, 3 out of these 5 statements are form part of the end of key stage statement. So you start filling this in at the end of a topic, doing your normal assessments. So we'll just put some things in here. And what's really useful for the science coordinator is when you click on the Key Stage 1 tab, it pulls through all of the statements and how those children have done. So this is the end of key stage framework, and you can see immediately how they are doing. Now this means that a Year 2 teacher could look back and see that Samuel, he hasn't really got this statement sorted from Year 1, so you might want to do a catch-up lesson for him on those. Follows through for all those other year groups as well. Notice here, look in Year 5, there's a whole statement in the end of key stage framework that isn't in the national curriculum. Oops. Okay, so that's something to highlight, which is why I wrote that other document. So wherever there are statements in the end of key stage assessment framework that don't appear in the national curriculum, I've inserted them into the national curriculum. And that is the tracker. So this is the One Form version of this tracker, and it's a work in progress, the 2 form entry. So if that's something else that you're interested in, hopefully that's given you a good overview.